What up guys, it's your boy JFab coming back at you with part 3 for the mini bike build series. I have something exciting. Paint is all dry, it's the next day, and we're gonna start reassembling. First, I need to pull apart every pivot point, so headset, suspension bushings, other bolts like this, and coat them with grease and get them reinstalled so that everything will operate smoothly. To do something to help clean up the shop a little bit for the second half of the process. And as you guys can see, a little bit messy in here, so got a good pile going. We're gonna finish cleaning that up and then get back to it. The CT200 UA K is for custom, is coming along pretty darn good. I'm actually liking the yellow a lot now that there's some more contrast. You can kind of tell what color it is a little bit better. The black accents help out a lot. Axle bolts, bearings, pivot points, shock mounts, headset, everything that moves is now greased, which leads me to address the elephant in the room, which is that I need to install the motor back in there, do the carb conversion, build a new exhaust. I might not have to build a new exhaust. This one might work out. I doubt it though. I doubt it will clear. So I got the new carb mounted, haven't done the air filter or anything like that. That's all bolted on there, so hell yeah. I'm going to install the torque converter. Motor's sitting way too low. I know it's typical that you have to build spacer plates or buy spacer plates to move it up enough to do that. Normally on the CT200s, there's not a bar until like all the way back here, and I added this on. Unfortunately, I added a bend. I don't know if it was quite enough. Should be. I think it's gonna clear by like just barely enough. So we're going to get these spacers made. I'm gonna go with, I don't even know what this is, maybe 1.5 inches. It's taller than 1 inch. Yep, 1.5 inches, it's perfect. Cause 2 inch seemed like it was just a little bit too high. 1.5 inches seems like it'll be dialed. And the further I move it up, the more clearance I think I have here. I don't know, it's probably about the same. It looks like I gain a little bit more if I go up. Either way, if I have to cut that out and re-weld it, it's not the end of the world, it is what it is. But hopefully, I can get these spacer plates done, rattle can them black, let them dry, drink some drink real quick, get everything bolted on, and then go from there. And if I have to do any fabrication, I can do it with the motor, and it's not gonna be the bolts cut down to 3 inches, because I just got some generic 4-inch bolts that would work pretty good. Life hack for you. Take some electrical tape and toss it right underneath the heads of the bolts, and it'll help hold them up so that they don't drop down if you get into a hairy situation trying to put the motor on. I don't know. It's something. It's not everything, but it's something. Right, so I got the spacers installed and they're pretty dialed. The only problem with this kit is that the Coleman CT200Us come with a 5/8 shaft motor if you have a newer one. But I did buy a 5/8 to 3/4 Kiaway adapter to run this CVT kit. So my guess and check math ended up like straight dank titties perfect. It couldn't have been any better. So I'm really happy about that. And now the motor is sitting exactly where it needs to be. Still have room to change the spark plug. If I have to do anything like sliding the head off and it's not gonna work, then I can always pull the seat too, and that'll give me a bunch more room. But all things considering, I have a lot of room. The carburetor still has space over here, a very adequate amount of space, I might add. And yeah, I mean, it looks badass. So I'm super excited about where it's at right now. And it looks like the sprocket and the front sprocket up there are lined up just dank titties perfect. So I really don't understand how this part of the build went so easy. I mean, I guess it's whatever, because this is just like a universal Amazon torque converter kit. And I knew I was probably gonna have to do a spacer, but I didn't know that my DIY little, you know, bend guess and check here was gonna be so perfect. So shout out to you, boy JFab. The instance finally worked out in a real situation. So there's the factory Coleman CT200U crank bolt. I'm assuming that's for a Predator with a 3/4 inch shaft bolt, and that's what they send you. Obviously, that's not gonna thread into the crank that that bolt came out of. But digging through my van box, look what I found. Same thread pitch bolt, same length. It's just same thread pitch as the factory bolt. but it's just longer. Voila! Hell yeah. And I was able to use this nut off of the carb flange. So it's like the perfect metric analysis tool here. So this one came off of the carb over here, but it happens to match the thread pitch of the crank bolt, which happened to match this bolt. So now I can use it for that purpose. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, I put this torque spec on these bolts of blue Loctite to bruising the palm of my wrist. So that seemed to be just about right. And I did the same thing with this 8mm bolt because I'm competent. It's a factory Ford bolt that came out of an engine part, I believe it is valve covers, something like that. So it has to be a really high grade bolt. It's probably like 10.9 or something. So got that one torqued down too, but with small bolts, I only use wrist tension. So I'll put the socket right there and I'll only use as tight as I can possibly get it with my wrist, which I was obviously holding the clutch. So yeah, I just crank it down as tight as I possibly can. Sometimes I get out here a little bit, but as long as you're not trying to get on the end of the wrench, it's really hard to snap one of these small bolts. So if you're reusing the bolt like 9,000 times, I'm sure that's different, but this bolt has only been used for a couple applications, which was on the van, so hell yeah. Carb has a completely different throttle hookup system. It's nice because it has a spring built into it, so you don't have to do any stupid throttle or return spring shit like I did on this one, which I'm sure you're like, Jake, are you not gonna pull the governor out of your motor? Of course I'm gonna. Like, it's just the governor arm. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to attach this back in the position where it's setting against the block. And then I'm going to add, I'm probably just gonna tack weld it in place and then add some little arm or bolt it or cell tapper it down to the case there so it doesn't get in the way. Should be totally fine, who knows? So where I was getting with that is I did buy a throttle tube for a Honda like 70 dirt bike, and it came with a clutch lever, which I'm going to use as a brake lever and a bunch of other things. So it's just a little bit more quality parts than the shit you'd see on a Coleman, because the factory Coleman throttle tube assembly and brake levers are absolute garbage. So anyways, I'll be able to use that cable to drop into here and attach how I would normally on a dirt bike, because it's a throttle cable designed for a dirt bike, so it has a little mechanism on the end, like the smaller size ball, that'll just fit through there and clip in and use pressure. So pretty sick. Super excited about that. It's 12:30 at night, and I have to be at work the next day at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna call it a night and button this up tomorrow. But it's at the point now where there's really not a whole lot left to do. I still need to come up with a little gas tank. I'm gonna try to come up with something that'll set in here, probably up on top of here, because I'm gonna want enough gravity to have the bottom of the fuel tank still be above the inlet line right here. So it might be kind of difficult, but I'll figure it out. I think I'm just gonna try to find some sort of stainless steel water bottle or something like that to use, but I will definitely figure it out. I should have probably tried to design a tank like into the frame here, which is kind of what I was planning originally. It just turned out to be too much work, and I don't want to build one out of steel and risk it rusting. So I will figure that out tomorrow. I'll just pick up something and Jimmy rig it to make it work. I'm using NP like air hose fittings for my barbs, and I got some female ends that are steel, so I'll be able to weld these to whatever I end up using if it is steel. I still have the factory fuel tank too sitting around. I just really don't want to have to use that because it's such a piece of shit and the lid doesn't seal up at all. So I will see you guys tomorrow after work. So since I'm not a motorcycle engineer, on dirt bikes, typically they try to run the sprocket or whatever of the transmission as low down and as close to the pivot point as possible. Since I have it 1 higher and 2 further forward, when I compress the suspension, it creates a dramatic amount of sag to where like the chain touches and it's all saggy. So trying to think of different possibilities in which I can try and make this work, and not coming up with a lot so far. So it's like, it's not even super loose right now. But I pull all the tension out, whatever. Put my knee down on it. Look at all that. It's a ridiculous amount of chain slop. It's like incomprehensible. Obviously, rear suspension is way too soft right now, so I'm gonna stiffen it all the way up. and then kind of get a more accurate representation of what it is I need to do. So yeah, it's kind of a shit show. Is if I make a pivot point for the chain that's lined up with the bolt of the swing arm here, so that the chain here, so that the chain is centered over the swing arm, which means I'm gonna have to add a sprocket with the bearing here and attach the lower bit of the chain to the bottom side of the gear. And then I'm gonna have to use a roller to push down, or another bearing area. I'll probably do the gear on the top and a roller on the bottom, honestly, because that'll be the easiest. I'll have to do that to put on the bottom so that the chain can roll over it. And I'll do the gear on the top and force the area down close to the center of the swing arm. So the chain's gonna come down at a weird angle here and then go straight out to the sprocket. And that will make it so the chain does not tension and detension as it travels up and down. So it's gonna be weird, but I think it should work. So here's to doing a little bit of fabrication on the freshly painted frame. Cry. So I got this idler gear welded here, so it'll come off of the sprocket in the torque converter, go down under that, and then come back to here. And then I welded this bracket right here to the bottom, on the top and the bottom, to this idler wheel, and which I also, guess what, used some van hardware for. So pretty sweet. I haven't had to make any extra runs to the hardware store, like because I needed something immediately, because most of the time I can find it here. So I'm going to paint the shit out of all of this now and then reassemble it. So there we go. And then hopefully it'll get to the point where I don't even need to run a chain tensioner. And if I do, it'll be so minor, it won't be a big deal. Saw, dude. So, got the idler gear in here and got the tensioner down here. Now I just need to finish clipping this clip in here. I had to add that other section of chain back in. So I need to install this little clip in there. But once that's all done, I'll be able to cycle the suspension, and hopefully it did a good thing. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's definitely, you know, I moved this pivot point right above the axle, and this one is a little bit in front of, so maybe it might lessen the tension. Who knows? We'll see here shortly. Okay, you guys, check this out. So right now, at totally unsprung weight, chain is loosey-goosey. Sit down on it. Chain is nice and tight. Got full compression. Roll smoothly. At full compression. Should be done. I am having a little bit of interference with the clutch in some cases, with the lower bit of the chain here hitting the secondary clutch a little bit, but it'll either wear itself through, slow clearance, or whatever, you know? So anyways, just really stoked at the way this came out. Sorry about the horrible lighting, but there we go. That guy, here, let me stand there so I can shade that. So there's that. This is off of the factory Coleman mini bike. This is kind of like the shit that goes in between the the little clutch and the gear that runs back to the sprocket, like one of those centrifugal clutches. Anyways, put that gear there, put the roller there. Everything works out super mint. That couldn't have gone any better, honestly. Oh yeah, check that out. Pro taper bar pad in white and yellow. It looks super dank. So yeah, have a bunch of Rockstar Energy stickers for this thing too, that I'm also very excited about. Just chilling right there. And a fresh oil change. Hell yeah. Bravex Performance torque converter all covered up. Got my Pro Taper grips on. This is a clutch lever, so it's gonna be backwards, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. Throttle tube, super dialed. So that's mint. Mikuni carb, it's all hooked up, so you can hear it doing its thing. super stoked about that. So it seems to all be kind of coming together. Now I'm just going to need to get this zip tied in place, figure out how I'm gonna run a fuel cell and where the hell I'm gonna put it, because this is my inlet here. And honestly, I have no idea how I'm gonna feed fuel. Like, my fuel tank is gonna have to be like a really retarded height, which is whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, still got all my Rockstar gas or stickers I need to toss on, and I need to hook up my little valve cover vent. So I got a couple other things I need to work on. Need to zip tie the I don't know, I think this is for when it floods. It has somewhere to drain. Either way, need to get those zip tied in place. Hell yeah. Alrighty, good shit. So coming along pretty good. This thing looks professional as shit. Got my little valve cover vent here. Still have room to get to that choke. So hell yeah. Throttle tube, super mint. Brake now. Super, you know, I don't know if it's too tight or not, but it probably is, whatever. Still spins freely. Carb, mint, pull starter, still dialed. So now we have like 2 things left before I can go test ride it, I think. Which is, well, I mean, besides lubing the chain, need to do that. I already cleaned off all the shipping grease and covered it in PB blasters, so that's like almost okay. But I need to build the fuel cell, which I think I was gonna use this water bottle, but it's just so big. I'm trying to figure out how I wanna do this in a way in which it's not gonna just be goofy as shit. I would love to mount it down here, but then I need some sort of pump to pump it into the carburetor because everything's gravity fed. So technically I need this to be like up here, but I don't know. I'm just beating myself up about this. So I gotta come up with a little fuel cell, and then from there I need to build an exhaust because the old exhaust won't fit. So I just have some shit stuffed in there to keep stuff from falling in there. But yeah, I need to build an exhaust. Should probably just do a little pipe. It'll come out. And it would be nice if I could tuck it on the inside here and then bring it out right in here somewhere. But it probably wouldn't clear the tires. So I'm probably just gonna end up having to come over right here. I just hope I don't hit my leg on it. Should be fine, whatever. I've had the exhaust right here before, shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, should be interesting. If anything, I'll always go down, over, and like out over here, which would probably be sick too. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Either way, that's gonna be the plan. I already got a flange right here. I'm probably just gonna do like a pie cut exhaust, or maybe I'll try the Harbor Freight bender. I'll probably do that because that'll make some minty bends if I use thick enough wall tubing, and it would turn out pretty fucking sick. So that's where I'm at right now, and then we can try to test ride it later. So I got a piece of, I believe it's 4-inch tube. Yeah, 4-inch square tube. So I did a 4x5. Should end up being about a half a gallon, but I can just mount that guy right there, or sideways, or whatever. Kind of ghetto, whatever. It's fine. I'm not really that mad about it. And it'll be out of the way, and it'll have enough gravity to feed the tank, which is important. If I do it that way, it will be more narrow than the actual cell itself. Looks kind of ridiculous, doesn't match the taper of anything, but like I said, not that upset about it. And all said and done, won't look that bad, you know, whatever. Just a little fuel cell. It's meant to do its job, and it'll properly gravity feed that carb because it has about a foot of drop to where the nipple is for the carburetor. So should be cool. So I'm running MP fittings on it, so I decided I would plug it into air, see if it leaks. Doesn't leak, only the fitting did because I don't have Teflon tape on it, but pretty sweet. That was, I don't know, 100 PSI in there. Not too bad. No leaks, flux score 110, welding proper. You guys can see this thing a little bit better now that the sun has gone away. It looks so sick. Hell yeah. Suspension's a little bit too soft in the back. I might have to see if I can find some stiffer springs, but front seems okay. I wanted to upgrade to some more quality springs eventually anyways, like, or I guess coilovers, because these were like $96, so they're cheap. 12-inch universal 12 mil ID bolt, like fucking shocks. So they're just like every other shock on Amazon, but these ones are cheap as shit. So yeah, awesome. I'll get some that have some actually adjustable like coils that I can swap out springs with like threaded shafts and everything. Make it super legit, but for now this is done. So I welded it all the way around. This is like a water bottle top. So it's got like a little, where did I put the lid? Right here. It's got one of these. It's got one of these lids. Okay, sweet. So that threads right into there. It's got a little rubber seal. And it's stainless steel. I welded it all the way around, and I wasn't very confident in my weld there. I tested it with water, and it just leaked ever so slightly. So I figured I would try out steel stick for the first time from JB Weld. This shit is dank as hell. I can't believe I haven't ever used this before. It forms so fast, like it's already hard. I use lots of knife grade epoxies at work for stone and other things like that. But this shit is like already hard. All you gotta do is roll it up and hand mix it. The activant is on the inside. And yeah, it says it's ready to like drill and tap within an hour. Within 60 minutes, you can drill and tap this shit. It sets in 3 to 5 minutes, and after 60 minutes can be drilled and tapped, machined, ground, filed, and painted. Holy shit. Tensile strength rated to 900 PSI and will stand up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. What the hell? Where has this been in my life? This is so amazing. Well, I might as well do both sides, because that's how much steel stick I was able to use. It turned out so good. It's gonna look so sick when it's all painted. I mean, I might look like some little kid's volcano project from preschool, but who knows, you know. It might turn out sick as fuck when it's painted yellow. So yeah, now I'm just gonna wait for this stuff to harden a little bit, and then I'm going to weld a tab onto the bottom, or maybe weld multiple tabs onto the side of the fuel tank, so that I have some way to just like self-tapper it on. Just like set it down in here, and just like add some angled tabs that'll go along the bottom there, just so I can self-tap it to there. Should be mint. Hell yeah, good shit. So I got the exhaust built. It looks super sick. Just ended up doing pie cuts. Did a bigger tip with a 1/2-inch baffle in there. So should sound interesting and have a little bit more back pressure if needed. Got the tank built. Super rad. Got the decals on it. It looks sick. Guys, it's the final build day. Got the fuel tank done last night. Did a little test fire. It, of course, oh man, I like poured gas all over it and stripped some of the paint off, which sucks. But got the pipe done too. It's pretty much like the only super good place to put it, where I want to put it anyways, where it doesn't have too tight of a bend, which is just kind of pointing out the fact that I need the seat to be taller, which is kind of funny because I spent all that time trying to make the seat, you know, smaller. I could try to do another cut and bend and tuck it underneath here, but either way, this seat I ended up ripping out the riv nut too, and the foam is all blown out, and kind of pissed off and don't really know what to do about it. So I don't know, we'll see. I kind of just need to figure something the hell out. So I might just end up doing something ghetto custom. I don't really want to cut corners right now because I've done such a good job for the rest of this project, you know. So anyways, gotta work on that, and then I can go test ride it. Did the first test fire last night, fired right up. It was awesome. So now I just gotta make that happen. So I got a new seat bracket punched out. It'll kind of attach in somewhat factory places. Main bolts are gonna be here and here, and then it's gonna be resting up here. I might put some self-tappers in it or something, but then I have these tabs that are gonna support and hold the seat, which will be better anyways, because that seat is a total piece of shit and super flexy. I need to come up with like a motocross seat for it. So for now, this will work for the weekend. I have one of these little staple guns. It's the best thing that's ever happened. You literally push, pull a trigger, done. For seat upholstery work, Like, I just had to stretch this one because it was all saggy. I know, a little bit liberal with the staples there, but it's okay. Super confident in my screws that I use to attach this plastic seat to the metal tabs. So did like a few wraps of duct tape around where I screwed it. And now that should be a lot better. Looks like I have some adamant clearance now. I just need to go get some header wrap tape to do that with. Took the little mini bike out for a rip. The carb needs some tuning, but besides that, it rides almost perfectly. So I need to get the carb jetted in a little bit more so she's all nasty and peppy. And then from there, I will, I don't know. I guess I'll just go romp the ever-living shit out of it. So let's see how it goes. So the factory jet is there on the left, and it's 0.095. And I just toss a 0.125 in there because that's what's recommended. The guy I was watching recommended like a 127, but I'm a little bit higher elevation. So, and I can adjust needle height as needed pretty easily. So for me here, this should be okay. So we're gonna mess with this, and I should actually have some top end. I could have done this without pulling the carb, but I think this is actually better because it helped me learn some things. So here we go. In all of her glory, all done up. Looks sick. Super stoked about it. Mikuni carb is rejetted. It's running good now. Gearing's way too tall, but deal with that later. Legit. Exhaust is super sweet too. Decided to absolutely murk my leg on it. That's gonna be a fun one. Definitely a good reminder to go get myself some header wrap on the way up to the mountain. Hell yeah. Boy is headed up Badger Mountain right now to his buddy's property, and got the mini bike loaded in the back. I decided I'm gonna call it the RM69 because that's just like the best name for it. It's all yellow like a Suzuki. It's got some 69 numbers on it, and definitely likes to fuck. So I can see how, since I'm calling it the RM69, I definitely need to get a 420cc Predator for it someday, so it can be the RM69 420. That'd be pretty dialed. So we're working on it. I'll get some videos of me ripping around up there this weekend. Finally got this wrapped up in some header tape, so hopefully that'll help disperse the heat if my leg ever does touch it again. Should be, man.